Gun violence is one of the most depressing issues facing the United States today. In this day and age, where everything is almost digital, we must be careful with our guns. From mass shootings to everyday violence, the impact is widespread and deeply personal. In this video, we'll explore the history, causes, and the consequences of gun violence in America and look at the data that defines this crisis.
The roots of American gun violence date back to the country's founding. The Second Amendment, as you see in the top left photo, was ratified in 1791 and gave Americans the right to bear arms, which was the first major key moment in the history of American gun violence. Later in American history, the NRA, or National Rifle Association, was created to help promote a widespread gun ownership within the United States and wanted to stress values of personal defense and a sense of resistance to the government control of firearms. This contributed to an increase and normalization of everyday carries of firearms within the United States. As later, the NRA supported and helped pass the Stand Your Ground law that granted permission of concealed carrying of firearms in many United States. Something that helped to narrow down the amount of people who are able to carry and own firearms is the Brady Bill, which is a gun violence prevention act that was passed in 1993 by President Clinton. The law was named after a man named James Brady who attempted assassination on the President Ronald Reagan. The Brady Law made it a requirement that background checks, along with a waiting period, were needed for firearm purchases from licensed firearm dealers within the United States. This led to a prevention of firearm ownership from certain individuals in the United States, including but not limited to convicted felons or those with histories of domestic violence.
According to the CDC, over 48,000 people have died from gun-related injuries in 2020 alone. That's roughly 132 deaths every day. Gun deaths include homicides, suicides, and accidental discharges. Alarmingly, over half of the gun deaths are suicide, in which 2020 went up 35% as seen in this picture on the top right. There has been a notable rise in the frequency and severity of mass shootings across the country. The U.S. has more guns than people, about 120 firearms for every 100 residents. Gun violence can have a significant impact on many communities, but it disfortunately affects marginalized groups. Black Americans in particular experience gun homicides at nearly 10 times the rate of white Americans. This chart shows exactly how much the difference actually is. Children and teens in the U.S. are more likely to die from gun violence than in any other high-income country. Beyond death, survivors face long life trauma, both physical and physiological.
The debate around gun laws in the U.S. is a complex issue with diverse viewpoints and strong opinions on both sides. The core of the debate revolves around the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, and the potential for restrictions on gun ownership, particularly in the context of gun violence. Gun regulations varies widely by state. Some require background checks and waiting periods, others have more relaxed laws. As of April of 2025, currently 46 states in the U.S. allow open carry in some form. The remaining 4 states, California, Florida, Illinois, and New York, plus Washington, D.C., generally prohibit it. Key federal laws include the Brady-Huntington Gun Violence Prevention Act in 1993 and the Assault Weapons Ban 1994 to 2004. However, most gun control efforts face strong political opposition. This slide represents data on public opinion regarding gun laws and gun ownership, broken down by political affiliation, as well as a poll from IPSOS showing broad bipartisan support for specific gun legislation. Advocates for gun rights argue the focus should be on mental health and personal responsibilities, not restricting ownership. Meanwhile, gun safety advocates push more for universal background checks, red flag laws, and safe storage laws.
Many organizations and communities are working to reduce gun violence through education, intervention programs, and community policing. Studies show that states with stricter gun laws generally have fewer gun-related deaths. Change is complex and often slow, but awareness and dialogue are key first steps.
Gun violence affects us all. Understanding the data, history, and human stories behind the headlines is essential to creating a safer future. Education, empathy, and action. These are powerful tools. We need stricter gun laws to reduce the growing number of mass shootings and everyday gun violence. Universal background checks are mandatory, and waiting periods could help keep firearms out of the wrong hands. It's not about banning guns entirely, it's about creating a safer community through responsible